In Tehran, Iran is defending its people, not Hezbollah.
Well, in fact, perhaps the messaging that has really come in from the IRGC seems to be a little different, Fatima. But having said that, thank you very much for getting us a ground report from Tehran as to how exactly is Tehran really taking this forward. That was Fatima giving us a sense of the situation on the ground in Tehran and why exactly Iran essentially believes it is necessary to defend itself from what they call attacks that have been carried out by the Israelis for over a period of time. Let's also quickly go across to our reporters on the ground. In fact, this is a report coming in from Israel. Nick Kolobin is joining us right now from Tel Aviv. In fact, Tel Aviv late last evening also witnessed two terrorist attacks that were carried out. They were gunned down. But Nick, what's the situation on the ground right now? Give us a sense of what's really happening around you.
Yeah, unfortunately, Israelis, they are used to live in this kind of atmosphere for decades, that there are constant terror attacks coming from the Palestinians and those terrorists trying to kill as much as possible civilians, innocent people. Yesterday, two people from the West Bank, Palestinians, came with rifles, with guns, with knives, and they were going on the lively boulevard in the Jaffa area of Tel Aviv and started to shoot at anyone that they saw on their way. They also entered the public transportation, light rail, and also there they tried to kill as much as possible. They shot everybody that they saw, and they also tried...
Nick, sorry to interrupt you. Nick, sorry to interrupt you, but can you give us a sense of what's really happening around you? Because it's also important for us to perhaps get a sense of the situation on the ground. While, of course, we've seen the kind of sirens blaring last evening when the firing actually began. But what's the situation on the ground? If you can just move around a little bit and perhaps show us what's really happening around you.
Yeah, here behind me is the army base, the main base of Israel. And yesterday, those bases were under the attack because the Iranians tried not just to hit civilians, but also the military. And now IDF confirmed to me and also to the Israeli press that some of the ballistic missiles hit some of those air bases of the Israeli army. But according to the army, just buildings of management were hit, no jets, no casualties, no ammunition or something strategic was hit by those rockets. And the damage that actually did this attack was in one high school, in one school, not high school, I'm sorry, in Gadara city. This is south to Tel Aviv. I just came from there. And you can see that inside of this school, some of the classes were damaged, their walls completely destroyed. And just hours before this missile hit the school, many children, hundreds of them, were celebrating in a ceremony the Jewish New Year,
right, Nick.
Rosh Hashanah, and just by chance, they are not dead right now.
Nick, I'll request you to stay on with us. Let me also get in Ariella Rosenthal, who's going to join us from Ashdod, because Ashdod is also the other city that was affected late last evening. I'll request both our colleagues to stay with us as we get us the live reports from two different cities, Tel Aviv as well as Ashdod, both cities that witnessed a barrage of Iranian missiles. Ariella, give us a sense of what you witnessed late last evening. And Ashdod was another city that came under attack.
Well, Ashdod, it's not the first time that Ashdod is under attack. Of course, this is the first time that the state of Israel had such a 100 missile breach on the country. We also had in April. Yesterday evening, we had the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year of Israel celebrations, and everybody was getting ready for the holiday, which is coming now in approximately an hour. and everybody was busy buying and getting groceries and getting prepared for the holiday. And then, of course, we received by the Home Front Command that there is an Iranian attack on the state of Israel. Ashdod, for approximately more than 20 years, has been bombarded by the Hamas, like other southern cities and communities in the southern part of Israel. And we are very well drilled, like the rest of the country, of how to behave during emergency.
Ariella, thank you very much for getting us that quick update from Ashdod, the other city from Tel Aviv to Ashdod, Republic, getting you the live report. Let's also get you that first big response coming in from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Oren from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Israel is joining us on this broadcast. Oren, thank you very much for joining us on Republic TV. First, your assessment of the situation that took place late last evening with Iran carrying out what was seen as an unprecedented but not an unexpected attack.
Thank you, Shavan, for having me in this show. And I want to be very clear in the message that I'm sharing with the audience today. Israel is under attack. We are under attack. Ariella mentioned that in Ashdod, people were running for shelter. Let me be personal for a second. Yesterday evening, my 8-year-old daughter was in tears. She was petrified because she was rushed into shelter, like so many children in Israel, and we couldn't calm her down all night long. No children, no girl, no one in the world needs to be in this situation. And the reason that we are in this situation is very simple. The state of terror, the state of Iran, has aggressively attacked Israel in a manner, in a fashion that never seen before. In an unprecedented way, more than 180 missiles were fired at Israel, targeting Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, cities like Ashdod, cities all over Israel. And I have one question to you, Shav. What would you think, would you feel if all of a sudden cities like New Delhi, Rishikesh, Varanasi, God forbid, would be attacked with more than 180 missiles? I think what the people of India would expect is that their country will provide them with security. This is exactly our expectation, to provide security to the citizens of Israel and to make sure that this savage attack is being stopped.
But Oren, would you not agree that this was not unexpected? But would that be a bigger cause of concern with Russia really stepping in, the axis of resistance becoming far more formidable for Israel at this stage?
I think, Shavan, you're right. We should expect perhaps the worst when it comes to Iran, but they are sometimes breaking their own records in terms of their aggressiveness. And I refer, for example, to the fact that although so many countries in the world, leading countries, approached Iran and told them, don't do this. Don't go to this step. Don't attack. Don't send terror missiles against civilians. Iran didn't stop and decided to carry out this attack. So we are doing everything possible to protect our citizens the way that any democratic country is expected to do. And I think, yes, you're right, that things are getting more complicated. Nevertheless, I can tell you in a very clear way, we will win this war. And you know why? We will win this war because we have no other choice.
Is there any scope of de-escalation at this point in time? You've had your allies coming out in full support, but do you believe that the Arab nations will be rallying behind Israel at this stage, or are we looking at some possibility of a de-escalation in the days to come?
First, I think you're right. Countries from all over the world including India and any other good friends of Israel, are supporting Israel in this time of need. And when it comes to de-escalation, I'll be very clear. We didn't want this war. Make no mistake, we didn't want this war. This war was forced on us. First on October 7th, when Hamas, this terrorist organization, committed the most heinous crimes, burning families alive, committing sexual crimes, things that no human being can be expected to commit. Nevertheless, Hamas did this on October 7th. And on October 8th, Hezbollah launched their own attack, again, completely unprovoked. Israel didn't do anything regarding Gaza, regarding Lebanon, when those attacks came about on October 7th and October 8th. Later on, the Houthis, this is the terrorist organization in Yemen, more than 1,800 kilometers away from Israel, decided to attack Israel. We didn't do anything that has to do with Yemen. Yet, nevertheless, this terror organization is firing missiles at Tel Aviv. And if you ask, I'll just complete this sentence. If you're trying to figure out what is the logic behind all of those attacks, including yesterday's attack coming from Iran, it is a very clear logic. It's a strategy. It is a strategy of the state of Iran, this terror state called the Republic of Iran, that is trying to encircle Israel with a ring of fire, all the way from the north with Hezbollah, moving to Shia militias in Syria, and encircling Israel in a ring of fire in a way that Israel is being attacked from 7 different fronts.
But Oren, I must ask you that this is no longer right now just a war between Israel and Iran. There are other countries involved too, and I would like to perhaps draw this from Secretary Blinken's commentary that he's actually made, where he says that Russia, China, as well as Iran coming together is certainly a cause of concern, not just for Israel, but for the United States of America. Do you believe that the Chinese could actually play spoil sport at this point in time, and which is going to be a bigger headache for Israel if Russia, as well as China, go on backing the Iranians?
I'm not sure that this will be the next step coming from Russia. And you mentioned the American Secretary of State. Again, we're grateful for the support coming from the US and from so many other countries in the world. I think people in the world, countries in the world, are very clear on what's happening. They know who is the aggressor. They know that Hamas started this war. They know that Hezbollah started this war, and they know that Iran is orchestrating this terror attack. But I think part of the problem that more and more countries are aligning with Israel is the fact that Iran is not only terrorizing the Middle East, it's not only attacking girls like my daughters here in Israel. They are also posing a serious threat to Europe. The Iranians are now threatening Europe, and actively the Iranians are involved in the war that is being carried out against Ukraine. So the Iranians are actively involved in killing Ukrainians, in threatening Europe. So more and more there is realization that this aggressor needs to be stopped. And it needs to be stopped not only for the sake of the peace in the Middle East, but for the entire peace in the world. And I'll be very clear on, I think, what needs to be done from the international community. More sanctions need to be put on Iran. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard needs to be called for what it is: the biggest terror organization in the world. IRGC is a factory for terror. And if we won't call it for what it is, it will continue to carry out those terror attacks.
Well, thank you very much, Oren, for joining us on the This is exclusive on Republic TV. That's the first official word coming in from the Foreign Ministry in Israel with regards to what they essentially expect from the world community at this point in time to tackle the growing escalation in the West Asia. Thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. In fact, this has essentially led to a situation where not just Iran and Israel, but the Arab nations have also been drawn into it. How exactly would the Arab nations really respond to this, and whether at all Abraham Accord will be able to perhaps tie down the Israelis? That's all that we could pack in this edition of This is Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with more exclusive stories.
Co-powered by Jaguar Bath & Light.
The first edition of Republic Digital Roundtable was a resounding success.
We can be the first in the world probably to get this in the common platform.
Super excited to see Fame 3 and very positive on that note. Yeah.
R&D needs to be incentivized in India. The government is generally supporting on the ground for companies that are doing this. I think that will be huge.
Tech exists. How do you enforce who puts in that piece of technology? Those are the questions that we really need to answer.
We've got everything it takes. The more people that take it responsibly, stronger the industry is going to get.
Now it's time to switch gears to the future of mobility. Republic Digital Roundtable Mobility Revolution Pioneering Next Auto Era. Watch exclusively on Republic Digital Friday, October 4th.
Amity has been ranked amongst the top 3% universities globally, a testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked quality.
आपने इनके हुनर का एक बहुत छोटा प्रदर्शन देखा है, लेकिन आप इससे अंदाज लगा सकते हैं कि ये कितना एक जबरदस्त खेल है।